This is the Goffstown Budget Committee. The date is December 4th, 2025. We are going to start with the roll call.
Israel Carey.
Olivia Welch-Erdahl.
Laura Stevens.
Doug Pounds. Brian Mazer.
Jared Talbot, School Board Rep.
Elizabeth DeBrule.
Samantha Kearns.
Richard Manzo, Select Board Rep. Rich Sherrill.
Allison DeCesare.
And Peter.
Peter Grigorakakis.
So you have to do it every night. You have to tell us why you aren't here.
Oh, goodness. Hey, I had surgery and it was very successful. But I'm at home.
Good.
Yes.
So Peter is remote. Okay, so we are going to start then with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So Joe Alexander, Mark Renaud, and James Piercy are all excused. Before we dive into the school, we're gonna jump over on two things on the town side. First, I wanted to get an update from Richard.
Yes, I brought the proposal to move the Packer truck into the unassigned fund balance to the select board. We discussed it. The conclusion of the group was that we would be agreeable to that, given moving the funding back into the road plan. That has already been removed.
Okay. Is that the end of the update?
I would say that's the end of the update. That's really the only change that we've, or the only new thing that we've discussed with budgetary impact.
Okay. All right, so we can take that up when we return to the town budget. There was one other thing that Peter wanted to share about the town budget.
Okay, thanks, Elizabeth. So I went through and I just tried to look at lines specifically that were appeared to be underexpended in 2024 or were severely underexpended in 2025. Looked at those together. I came up with a list of up to around $253,000 in possible reductions. I don't want to say that I'm going to motion to make the whole reductions, but I did come up with a list of about $253,000 in possible reductions, like smaller line-by-line reductions that I would like to be able to send back to our department heads ahead of our next meeting with deliberation for town, just so they can kind of give us some more information, and then we can decide if we want to maybe motion to make a larger, broader cut based off of them.
So I don't think we need anything as formal as a motion, but is the committee okay with that? What Peter's asking, which is to send the spreadsheet with his changes, and it should also be circulated to all of us, and then send it to the town and have the department heads take a look at it and get us information so that we can proceed. Is everybody cool with that?
Reasonable. Yep.
Okay, so that's what we'll do. Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.
Oh,
Yeah, Richard?
I'm sorry, something totally slipped my mind. At the last select board meeting, we also took a vote to make an adjustment to the proposed adjustment to the non-union wage matrix from 3.3% to 1.5%. I don't have a dollar figure for that in front of me, but I just wanted to bring that up too.
Okay, so those are two items that the select board is presenting for consideration for the next time we talk about the town.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, great. All right, so with that, we're going to move on to the school budget. So before we dive in, though, I want to make sure everybody knows the difference between the SAU budget and the district budget. So I'm going to ask Jared to explain it.
Sure. So the SAU is basically a superintendent administrative unit. That's what it stands for. That comprises New Boston and Goffstown. This is comprised of our area agreement that was voted on by the legislative body, i.e. what was sent to the voters, I believe, 2 Marches ago. That's a 10-year contract that was agreed to. As part of the SAU budget, it basically splits out the SAU budget to the districts of New Boston and Goffstown. So this hearing, or this budget body, only is for the Goffstown School District. It is not for the SAU. But for the area agreement, because those costs are cascaded down, we get about 60 or 65% of the SAU budget is in our district, and that's based on the number of students that come into the total SAU. So New Boston, they have K part-time through 6th grade, and then they send their 7th graders to the graduates all the way to the middle school and high school. And then Goffstown, as we know, has part-time kindergarten through graduate, 12th grade as well. So when we look at the SAU budgets, or if there's thoughts on the SAU budget, remember, that's part of the default. The SAU budget is being voted on by the SAU board December 17th, which is a Wednesday at 6 o'clock. So if people want to make changes to the SAU budget, that is the appropriate time to do that. And then any changes that occur would kind of cascade down and affect our default budget for those SAU lines in the district, which is a 000 district that we have here.
So the budget committee cannot make changes to the SAU budget, but
Well-
we can make changes to the district budget.
So, yeah, of course, but the prerogative of the budget committee is they could change lines, but just know whatever they change the SAU line from, we have to find the money to fulfill our obligation as a contracted service. So even if we did reduce it, we basically have to pay that amount anyway.
Okay. Allison?
Where can we find the SAU budget? Is it online?
I'll look to Doug, but it is online, and it's a lot smaller than this one, I can tell you that.
Yeah, so yeah, if you just go, if you search like SAU 19, and then it's set up the same way as the Goffstown School District, you'll go under finance and you'll go to under proposed budgets.
Okay, thanks.
Is 10 years a typical length of contract?
For an area agreement defined by the state, that's what I'm understanding.
Okay. Just seems like a long time.
Well, I mean, you could always petition it the next time it comes up in 2032.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you're gonna
But
have
yeah,
to wait.
I
but-
believe that's the state standard is a 10-year area agreement.
Okay.
Okay, so if there's no other questions, we will go ahead and get started. We're actually going to start with Bartlett and work our way through Bartlett, Maple, and Glen Lake, and then if we have time, we'll go back and maybe do the district tonight and do the middle school and the high school next time.
So that starts on page 13, and our Bartlett location is 101, so that starts on line 391 in your packet.
So we're going to do this the same way as the town. We're going to go page by page. Page 13. Are there any questions,
Let people
motions?
get there and look at them first.
They were supposed to look at this before they got here, so. We did especially with Peter's work, we did a really thorough check on actuals to budgeted on the town, and we should do the same on the school. Allison?
I'm looking at line 392, which is the general supplies. 2025 actual $700, but we're looking to do the budget for 9,208.
Yeah, and the year before that was 8.7,
Right.
or 8,700,
Are
and the year
we
before that
missing
was
something
50.
this year big that,
So those are language arts supplies, and so what the school is doing is they're kind of pausing buying some language arts things until the new reading program comes out, because a lot of that times that will supplement the reading program. So they're kind of moving through their stock that they have right now with the current reading program, and they didn't want to buy any in addition until the new reading program
okay,
is out.
perfect, that makes sense. Yep.
Also, this is a little confusing, but people should just be aware that their 2025 year ended in July.
Or June 30th.
June 30th, so now they are in their 2026 budget, and we are building the 2027 budget. So that 2025 year is actually closed. So that's different, it's different numbers than on the town side, so just to clarify that.
I had a question similar about line 396, which is also general supplies, Reg Ed Science Bartlett General Supplies. It looks like it's been holding steady at around 3,200, but there's a proposed increase to 1,500.
Yeah, so that's in regards to science lab materials for grade 3 and 4, so 750 per grade. So it's really trying to get the kids more hands-on materials to learn science, which is kind of the way that the state and multiple places are going, trying to not just kind of speak science out loud, but having the kids do science as well.
Anything else on this page? You ready to flip? Line 414, disability insurance. I take it that's pretty much out of our control.
That would be correct, yeah, so it's just something we have to pay, due to having staffing.
Okay. Sorry, Jared, Rich, I'm sorry, like, looking at my spreadsheet and trying to keep my head up and look at you guys.
Thank you. Line 431, it looks like the default is 6,000. We have a requested increase to 7,300, but our actuals stick around 2,000.
So this is more of an accounting switch. Every once in a while, as we look through the budget, we realize that things are not budgeted in the right line. So 4,000 was moved for IXL, which is an online platform for students to learn. And that was moved from a supply line to, you can see this capital software. So IXL is not necessarily, it's a supply, it's not a supply, so we moved it to the correct line. So that means that would have come out of the other line.
Do you know what the other line was?
So it is 10-101, 1100, 11, 611.
So that's
So
that
it's
decrease of
reference-
3,000.
Yeah, so it's reference line 394. You can see that went from 8,500 to 4,500.
Madam Chair, can I ask a favor, actually?
Sure.
When people are referencing, can they reference the reference number and the account number just for me? Because I'm trying to work off of the spreadsheet and the reference numbers don't line up for me.
Okay. Okay, so
So all I need is the reference number and just the account one that's right next to title. And
Okay.
that should help me.
Okay, so we're on 651. So Doug,
I got it. I found that one.
does that explain why the default number is so much higher than anything that's come before?
Yeah, so you'll see that default was moved in two different lines. It was moved out of reference 394, account 611. That went from 8,500 to 4,500. And it was moved into reference 431, account 651. That went from 2,000 to 6,000.
Okay.
So it's more, again, of an accounting change than a difference in purchasing.
Okay.
So we try not to do a lot of those, but if we see something that's kind of obvious, we're always looking to kind of chip away at where it makes more sense.
So what's the 1,300 proposed new?
The 1,300 proposed new is two different things. One is the IXL has gone up in price, so that's the additional amount needed for IXL of 1,000. And then there is music software, Essential Music Program is the name of the software, of 300, and that is new as well.
Thank you.
reference line 411, account 211, health insurance. So I know we had cut insurance, we've talked a lot with the town. Is that, how are we calculating that $6,000 increase?
So we are at a different spot this year where we actually have the known rates for next year. So it's taking every adult and where they are right now and assuming they're going to keep the same insurance, and then we know that insurance rate for next year.
Okay,
So which hasn't always been the case for the school. Sometimes when we budgeted, we've been giving a guaranteed maximum, or we've had to estimate that, and then we've been giving the actual amount. But at this point, we have the actual amount. Now, again, insurance can be different next year because somebody might leave who has insurance and they might be replaced by somebody who doesn't have insurance.
Right.
But what it's doing is taking the people we have now, carrying them forward, and then with that new rate. Any teacher who is going to be leaving, we always budget a two-person plan for those situations.
Laura?
This is jumping ahead, but it's to the next page, but it's the same type of question about health insurance.
Sure.
Reference number 444, account 211, special ed health insurance. So we're seeing the actuals, and then it seems again like a big jump to the default for FY '27. And that's because you know the rate and assuming people either keep the same or any vacant spot is doing a two-person?
That is correct. Yeah, so I'm just looking at the actuals.
Because that's a significant change as well.
Yeah, you're all right. So we're looking at a change from actuals of around 130,000 to 225. So, hey.
Good evening.
Hi, Brian, did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, if I may, thank you. Good evening, everyone. This just really speaks to the volatility of insurance. So if we have a group of teachers and you have 2 or 3 people that go from a single plan to a family plan, that will impact it in that kind of way. So you'll see throughout all of our 200 account lines throughout the entire budget, there is a lot of volatility in all of the health insurance because people change, plans change. Sometimes we have people that don't take insurance and then they're, just as Doug said, and then they're replaced with people who do take insurance. It's just the volatility. And we do have a young staff in a lot of our buildings, so people are getting married, they're having babies, they're starting families. That's what you're seeing in these lines.
Okay.
Thank you.
Allison?
Well, I can appreciate that. I'm just kind of going back to what Laura was saying. How did we get just the special ed jumping up almost $100,000, but the regular health insurance at Bartlett is only jumping up like 20 from actual? Like what would have been so much different in the special ed health insurance versus the regular wages is all I'm trying to see. Like,
Yeah.
I get there's complete volatility.
I'm going to ask, this is Kate McGrath, our HR director. I'll
Okay.
let her answer that, but
Great.
this is based on usage. So that particular group of teachers and the actual plans that they've elected to take, that's the reason. And as I stated, we've had several people that have started families, so we have a lot of babies, and we have a younger staff, and I think that's what we're looking at there.
Yeah, that's absolutely accurate. So from one year to the next, we're, again, budgeting almost a year out of when people are making their actual elections, and then you have staff turnover. So all of those things contribute to whether it's plan design changes that the individuals are making for themselves, or it's new staff and their variance in elections. So sometimes it just hits some groups more so than others, and that would be the case in this instance.
Do you know about how many people that covers under the special ed? Again, you're almost doubling just the special ed number.
Yep.
It seems like a humongous jump.
I can look that up.
If you would, I'd
Sure.
just be interested to know how many people we went from 130 in 2025 to 225 proposed. That's a big jump.
Sure.
Okay, Thank you.
Mrs. Pishka's doing the math in her head.
She's good like that.
Special ed. Is it just the 1,200
Yes.
line?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be teachers and support staff.
Yeah, we can keep going. I just-
Yeah, we can
Look
come
at
back.
that,
We'll
everyone
find.
else has a-
I'm just curious because it's such a big jump.
So it's a total of 18. That fall into the 1,200 function.
So 18 individuals.
Just very quickly, I actually found that there's another sheet that I can use, so I no longer need the account number for reference, just the reference number.
Okay.
Thank you, Peter.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we are. We're moving on to 16. I mean, I'm looking overall, overall new spending for Bartlett is only 18,000. There's some default spending, which we can't change, but there's $18,000 of new spending in a $3.5 million budget. And it seems like most of it has to do with supplies, like actual instructional supplies, or the phone and electricity kind of utilities, those types of things. So we're on 16 and 17, is there anything? And I'm also seeing decreases in several lines.
That's fairly typical. So as we review our actuals, if accounts should be brought down, we bring them down. If they need to go up a little bit, we bring them up a little bit. Sometimes we miss a few, but generally, we review all of them. In fact, Doug has been evaluating the actual versus budgetary amounts and looking at lines, so that's pretty common for our practice.
Okay. 18 or 19? Rich?
A question about 586 admin Bartlett voice comms. I've noticed this with a few other voice comms lines as well. Can you tell me about the increase?
I'm going to have Mr. Bourget, our IT director, come up and speak to that. Stephen?
So this is a great question, because you are right. It's part of this budget, the middle school, the other elementary schools, the high school as well.
So previously, we had an on-premise PBX system at Goffstown High School. It ran our phones. We owned it. The problem was the software was obsolete. It was listed as cybersecurity vulnerabilities, and Cisco changed their licensing model to an annual subscription. So when we moved from the self-hosted legacy system, which was originally implemented in 2010, last updated in 2018, we moved that to a cloud-hosted PBX system through, we went out to bid, the bid went to Consolidated Communications. We now have a monthly bill for every telephone number, which we didn't have before. Because before, we were basically paying for a small pool of lines coming into Goffstown High School, and we had a collection of server infrastructure that was beyond its life expectancy running all of our phones. So when the system got replaced with what our options were, we moved to having to pay for each phone each month as part of the software service. So what you're seeing are the contract prices we have in our 5-year contract with Consolidated for our telephone service for the buildings.
So the server infrastructure for the old PBX is retired?
They're sitting in a they're sitting in a tech office right now on a shelf. It is no longer in service. The telephones were not compatible with anything else because most of our phones were IP phones from 2010. So yes.
Is there cost that was associated with running the old PBX that we should be able to see a decrease in a different line item?
No, because what we did before was they were bought out of state safety grants the last time around. So we owned all the equipment. It was a perpetual license.
Okay.
So meaning you buy the software once and you're good until it's done. We ran into an issue, Cisco end of life did about 2 years ago and end of supported it about the same time period. And we were basically throwing money at engineering services trying to keep it alive. And eventually, we hit the point where you could throw the money you want at it, but it was not going to get any better. And so we kind of made that change. The lines that it was being drawn out of are the same lines that the software service is being billed against. It's just, again, before we were paying for effectively one circuit coming into Goffstown High School to run our phones, and now I'm paying for a circuit in each building, and I'm paying a subscription cost effectively. It's anywhere between $9 and $12 a month for a telephone.
Thank you.
What's the total cost district-wide for this change this year?
Total cost district-wide, I'd have to go back and look at the contract because we're still sorting out kinks with numbers and lines, and their billing has not been fixed yet.
Okay.
And we've been working with them trying to get billing normalized and corrected since July.
Okay.
So I don't think I can give you a total cost. The original project was split into two pieces, and Doug can correct me if I'm wrong. All of our upfront purchases were done through capital reserve, so we physically bought the telephones. But again, we're paying for the service on all of our lines and extensions. We have and I don't know the numbers for Goffstown specifically, but between Goffstown, New Boston, and the SAU, I've got a little over 700 telephone numbers.
Wow.
Between the locations, because for 911 purposes, I have to have a telephone number and a location tied to every telephone
Okay.
in order to comply with Carrie's Law and the Ray Baum Act, which are both pieces of federal legislation.
Okay. Okay. It's funny how software companies really don't know what the word perpetual means.
It was
Not anymore.
It was perpetual, and we could have kept running it. The challenge was our phone system, we used a software product called Cisco Jabber for off-campus calling, which was connected to the internet. So perpetual software is great until third parties know that the support is gone, and it's publicly exposed, and here are all your zero-day exploits that you can use against it. That was pretty much the determining factor of us having to phase it out before we took a cyber attack.
Okay. Any more questions about this? Thank you. All right, moving on, page 20 and 21. Yeah, about halfway down to line 640 in Bartlett. So before we wrap it up, Sam?
Reference line 620, Bartlett General Supplies. I just want to make sure that I'm, I guess, looking at this the way that I did look at it. So I look at what the 2025 budget is, which is 15,500, and then I see that the default is 18,000. And even though that's, I guess, not considered, like, why isn't that $2,500 considered new spending? Because it's just built into the default?
So I believe what you said is you looked at the 2025 budget and then you compared it, but what we'd want to do is look at the 2026 budget, if I heard you correctly.
Okay.
So you can see that between 25 and 26, it went up to that 18,000, and now we're keeping it consistent at that 18,000.
So the new spending was
So
a
the
full budget cycle
that delta
ago.
would have been last
That
year.
was
Okay.
last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I look at even, I guess, the 2025 actuals, we are not close to 18,000. I mean, we are close, and I hate to nickel and dime, but I also feel like one of the things I think our committee made a mistake with last year, and I take responsibility because I voted for it too, with the town, was we kind of got tired in long nights of nickel and diming, so we just made like a big sweeping cut and from the road plan, and it kind of hurt. I think it ended up like hurting our relationship with the select board, and I realized this school is a different animal, but I'm wondering if we should cut, like, even if, we go to cut it $1,000 to bring it to 17,000, at least we're looking at things. Is it?
Jared has a comment, and then if you want to make a motion, you can.
So you got to think of it this way, because the 2025 budget ended last June. Last cycle, this budget committee reaffirmed and by the voters that it should go up by 2,500. The actuals for why we needed that increase haven't been incurred yet. So this year, we went up by 2,500. We made the deliberative, or we made the decision last year that we should increase it. We're now in that budget at the very beginning. So we haven't incurred why we needed the additional 2,500.
This feels, it makes me, I guess, I feel very blind then. Like,
Well, we can give you the incursions that we had, the actuals to date for this year, but know that it's only about a quarter of the entire
Right.
year, so it's not really going to tell you anything,
right.
especially since July and August, there was very little spending that was done at the school system.
Exactly. And so even if you are like, all right, I'm gonna take these 2 months and multiply it by 6, like,
Multiply it by a lot more than that, but,
yeah,
oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
yeah.
But
Feel like it
I understand the reason why you say that. I think the rationale is personally, I think is inappropriate, is because we voted to increase it last year, and the reason why we increased it hasn't been realized at this point in time, and nor should it be, because we're at the very beginning of the cycle.
So I know we're reaching back here, but Doug, you don't by any chance, and you weren't even here, do you know why we increased it last year?
I think I recall. So we've seen a general increase, just like we all see when we go to the grocery store, or you go to Target or wherever. The cost of all our general supplies have gone up. Paper, consumables, all the things that we use with kids on a day-to-day basis, they've just gone up. That's really it. So Jared's correct. That budget amount of 18,000 hasn't been spent. The only, I would caution, it's not as simple on the school side as maybe it might be more applicable for the town side. We sometimes we don't buy in a linear fashion throughout the year, so I would discourage a model that you might look at and say, you're 4 months into the year, that's a quarter of the year, so therefore, let's just assume, the spending doesn't always happen like that in schools. There tends to be more spending at the beginning. Sometimes the spending comes later, because for our supply lines, sometimes we don't need to buy as much stuff at the beginning of the year, we need to buy at the end of the year. So the spending isn't linear like that. But just in general, all of our supplies we've seen go up.
Madam Chair?
Yeah?
So on this line, the way I'm thinking of this is just based off of what the situation is next year would be the time where we can really look and see, well, did it actually pan out, right? We won't be able to see 26 budget against 26 actual in any real way until next year, but at that point, that budget committee would take a look and they would say, oh, wait a minute, it didn't end up panning out the way that we thought it was. Can we reduce it by $1,000? So it would just be hard to reduce it at this point, I think.
Okay. Any other comments?
I'm interested to see what Mr. Funky has to say.
Yeah, I was just going to add that if you look back at the historical spending of that line, in '23, we spent over 20,000. So what I think you're seeing here, Samantha, is that we looked at 23, 24, that we were overspending that particular line, and so we made an increase. So just as we make decreases when we think it's appropriate to do so, last year during the budget process, we thought it was important because we were overspending that particular line for the last 3 years.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna hold off on any motion and just
Okay.
put it on my,
Again, first pass, so you can always
I'm
come
gonna write it on
back
my
to it.
maybe sheet.
All right, anything else on 20 or 21? Rich?
Line 627, replacement equipment for Bartlett, 3,000. What is that that's being replaced?
So that's more to do with like wear and tear that happens with things like surge protectors or clocks. We have Randy here as well, who is our Director of Facilities. So what are some other just things that get kind of replaced?
Replaced yearly, a lot of is clocks, surge protectors. There's a lot of equipment that is there that is very cyclical and changing, and we made a purposeful, like the surge protectors, for example, every 5 years they have to be changed, and that's a code. So we look at our surge protectors, and there's usually a number. We tried not to make them all in 1 year when we actually started looking at it. We tried to stagger them out, but we buy them when we realize at the end of the year how many we're going to need. We could get up to 50 or 60 surge protectors to make the changes for every Promethean board that you see in the building, for any electronical piece of equipment that you see is connected to a surge protector. And we monitor those yearly to see where they're changed out. It's the clocks. You know, the clocks is as simple as it is. A clock is a bit on the expense, cheaper than some. But, you know, and it could be $20 for a clock, but we're getting multiple clocks because every room has a clock in it. Every space has a clock in it. So it's just things like that that we use on a daily basis that we're always monitoring and replacing as needed.
It's a bit different than the actuals that you have for 2023 and 2025, so I was just wondering how you came up with the 3,500 figure.
And right now, like I said, it's looking at the spending that we were having and what we're anticipating and seeing, because I said we go through these spaces every year, and we look at the dates, which they are all dated, that we see what the anticipated cost is going to be moving forward. Can't really say on a clock how long it's going to last, but for sure we can look at a date on a surge protector and know when that's going to need to be replaced.
Right?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is reference number 630. It says building upkeep. How is that different than to the regular maintenance of Bartlett? So trying to understand more additional context around that.
We do, like I said, the maintenance is things that happen when the unknown things that would happen would be the general maintenance of the buildings. The upkeep are the things that we know that we should be looking at. For example, on the preventive maintenance on equipment is making sure that that is where it should be, but also there's lines for that covers that. And it's the keeping the systems within the building, working also with our IT folks, is making sure that we're monitoring and making sure that they have the equipment that we need to make sure that the educational needs are met, and we're not falling short on that.
So as I look at the notes too, the building upkeep, we're more looking at the outside of the building.
And that,
where we have this 3,000 for snow removal, including kind of the gas, the ice melt, the tune-up of the machines. And then they're also looking to repair part of the playground fence at Bartlett as well. And then when I can, I would like to go back to the other question, but I want to make sure we finish.
I think Jared had a comment.
Same thing.
Okay.
We're doing the same stuff.
Go ahead.
So in regards to the other question, one of my notes was in the wrong line. So the reason for the 3,000 in addition is actually a walk-behind sweeper, because the current one has had many repairs. So part of, like, Randy and I talk about this budget way back in the summer, so part of it is the notes that kind of help keep us more up to date with what we talked about. So that is a reason. So we are still replacing.
He must have dropped.
Oh,
no.
somebody punch him back in.
Where is that coming from?
Domino's Pizza, can I help you?
I would actually really love a meat lover. Fantastic. You can have it here in the next, because I'm in the middle of this meeting that is just, oh my goodness. It is more fest.
So just to clarify,
I'll try
Doug,
another call.
you're saying the 3,000 on the replacement equipment is for a what, a sweeper, you said?
A walk-behind sweeper,
So
because the current one has had many repairs.
I think what we're talking about here is the playground at Bartlett, which I would, again, remind the Budget Committee was done through donations. That playground has a rubber mulch base to it.
So this is inside the building. We're back to inside the building.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought,
the sweep-
sorry, I thought we were outside.
So.
Scratch that.
Randy, if you
We
want to
still
talk
have
about
rubber mulch,
what the
though.
walk-behind sweeper does.
Well, it is. Well,
great.
actually, it's part of also what Brian is saying, because it can be used outside as well which,
Apologize.
trying to keep up with the rubber mulch, that even though we put a fence around that playground, the mulch that comes out of that playground is still phenomenal with the rain and what sticks to the kids' feet and gets marched out into the parking lot, is we are tagged with making sure that that is cleaned up daily. We're putting it back into the playground, so it's not ending up in the building. And we try to go after it with leaf blowers. It helps, but it's not efficient. We had a sweeper that is, because of the nature and then how much that it's used, and it's old, that we have repaired it to keep it going, and we're at a point where it's a replacement as well to make it easier to maintain that. The mulch that's in the driveway is part of the other things that we're watching and maintaining, is because we were notified by the town when that mulch gets into the snow and they plow the snow to one side and then they got to come in and move it. Well, now that snow that they're collecting has to be segregated from the rest of the snow because it's considered a hazard because of the rubber pellets that are in the snow. So we're doing our best to maintain and keeping and collecting those pellets to get them back into the playground where they came from.
And this one, I would kind of apologize for. This is something that is a major pet peeve of mine. So for many, many, many years, I have tasked Randy with figure out a way to keep that mulch in that playground. Because before we built a barrier, we did almost like a raised toe kick and then put a fence on top of it. We've tried a lot of different things because the mulch keeps coming out of the playground, and we need to keep it in so that we can maintain the appropriate depth for safety, for fall impact. But this is a pet peeve of mine. So I've asked Randy, figure out how to, whatever you need for equipment, whatever we need to do to make sure we're keeping that mulch in the playground area where it goes and where it needs to stay.
Sam?
Would we have this problem with wood chips?
We would. It would be a similar problem with the, and by the way, you can't just use wood chips, you have to use special safety wood chips,
Okay.
which is a real thing.
I mean, I guess in terms of snow removal, I feel like maybe wood chips might be a little bit more organic. And I just feel like there might be like a,
If I were to come up with a cost to replace all that rubber mulch, to dispose of it and then come in with new, you'd probably not
Right.
like the number.
but I guess I'm wondering if like sometimes like the upkeep of, just like the upkeep of this walk behind sweeper is too much, so we're buying a new one. Like, maybe the upkeep of the playground mulch isn't, like, it doesn't have the right trade-off to it that, like, wood chips would have, or, I don't know, sand. I don't know what playgrounds are made with these days.
They're typically either the rubber mulch or it's the safety wood chips. Typically,
Laura?
First, remember when we all just played on pavement and everyone thought it was fun? No.
Yeah, and everybody broke their arm all the time?
Yeah, everyone had a broken arm. Okay, so I just want to review, because that was a lot and it did make sense, but I want to make sure I have the lines right. 627 is inside, 630 is outside?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Brian?
Thanks, Madam Chair. So going back to 630, and I might have missed it, you said it was outside, but what was the $3,000 ask in addition?
That was the new sweeper.
The new
Part of it
sweeper.
was the new
Okay,
sweeper.
okay.
The 3,000 inside ask, so 627 was a new sweeper.
630
Okay,
was
then
the
what's-
fence.
then what's
630 was the
There's
fence.
a fence
The
on
fence.
the playground.
All right.
Yeah.
That's the outside, the 630.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on Bartlett? Or motions, or anything anybody wants to do? Okay, then we will move on to Maple, starting line 641. In page 21. Go to 22 and 23. So on line 678, books and printed media, you've got a pretty big reduction even though your actuals don't really bear that out. I mean, not that I'm complaining about a reduction, but
The reading program, right?
is that the new,
It's to supplement reading programs, so they were building up their decodables, you know, which is part of reading, and they got to a good spot, so there was no more really decodables that they felt that they had to kind of keep purchasing as much.
Okay.
So that was to get them to a good spot, so they could make sure that all the readers at different levels could benefit from their supplemental material.
okay.
Line 655, there are no paraprofessionals anymore. Or if they are, they're not getting paid.
That's in regular ed.
Yeah, that's,
It's regular, yeah.
Oh, so we just transferred
They
it.
go to 1,200.
So we've,
Your function is your
So this is
normal.
regular education and this is special education. So the
Oh.
paraprofessionals are
Okay.
working in special education.
okay.
Anything else on 22 or 23? Allison?
Trying not to beat a dead horse here, but on line 690, once again, special ed health insurance went from $2,000 actual in 2025 to $45,000?
Correct.
Proposed?
yep.
I don't,
So let's say you have 3 people, and let's say.
I
the-
know how insurance works, but I just don't get, like, how many people were on $2,000 worth of insurance in 2025, and then it went to $45,000 for,
Mrs. McGrath?
guys, am I the only one who just feels like those numbers don't work?
No, I mean, it's a good question.
$2,000 to
It's- it
$45,000,
starts,
like,
yeah.
did we hire, like, I feel like there just needs to be another reason. Did we hire a bunch of special educators that would make it go from 2,000 actual to 45 is the 27 proposed?
Yeah, all those insurance lines after that are
This-
similar.
But the special ed seemed to be
Yeah.
specifically much larger jumps
Than
and-
regular.
than regular, and that's what I'm not wrapping my head around that. I don't,
Yeah, and it's hard to speak detailed about these because again, there's so many variables that can happen from
of
year.
course.
What you're looking at is the actual number and, you know, in terms of how we encumber the health insurance, Doug, I don't, if I'm looking, you know, budget to budget, I don't know if there could have been an issue with how it would have been encumbered against the actual accounts. Because when you look at the budget, you really don't have that big of a swing. Again,
Correct, if it was
recognizing
just the.
from 10 to
right.
30,000,
You said like
right?
Yeah, the 25 budget is 27,000 to
Right.
45, not a huge jump, but when we
Right.
actually only spent $2,000 of that, I'm not seeing how you would possibly get to 45.
I think that's a fair question. I'd
Okay.
have to look into
Again,
the
I'm
booking
trying
of
not
the
to beat a dead horse, but I
actuals
just don't
on
get it.
that. Yeah.
And
I mean, looking at the 2,000, I don't know if someone left, but I mean, 2,000 is just such a low number that,
Yeah.
Right.
that the insurance would
2,000
not have been paid the whole year.
The whole year, so that would have been a
So-
partial year payment. And we do want to be careful because some of these units, and particularly small schools, these are, we don't want to talk about any insurance within a group of people. So we don't want to talk about, so we're on Maple Ave now, but we wouldn't want to talk about insurance for, say, the school counselor or the nurse at
No,
a
I'm not
program,
asking for
because you're-
specific people.
yeah.
I'm picking a line item. I don't even know who's in that. That's not really my point. My point is just 2,000 to 45,000 just doesn't make sense. And even the other one that I point out again, going from almost doubling in 1 year, unless you didn't have a whole bunch of those people in the prior year, I just don't get how you go up $100,000 when it was only like $100,000 the previous year actuals. So if you,
Yeah, I'd have to look more into the
Okay.
actuals, so, you know, relative to
yeah,
what's
maybe if you
in.
could just kind of make sure that it all jives and see if
Sure.
maybe it came from a different place. Or, I mean, again, like you said, you're even saying that doesn't seem like it makes much sense to just have $2,000 for the actual for
It
2025.
absolutely does
So-
not.
Why don't we plan to review that further?
If
and
you
we'll
would,
We'll
I'd
have an
appreciate
answer
it.
for you next Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, Doug has,
Yeah.
hold on,
In
Peter.
addition to
Hold-
that,
hold on.
on line,
Peter?
would you guys be able to get us the budgeted for 23, 24?
I'm
Budgeted
sorry,
for
what was this
23.
Is that
question?
possible?
I think the problem is that there are some, not duplicate lines, but it looks like the phrasing got changed for some of these lines. You see how it says Maple Ave Special Ed, and then down below it says Special Ed Maple? So like there's two paraprofessional lines, one has nothing in it and the other one has figures in it. And I think that's throwing some of us off a little bit. I'm sorry, Doug, I know you have a question, hold on. So that's, the actuals might actually be there already, Peter. Do you guys see what I'm talking about? Like, for example,
No, the actuals are there. Hold on. To clarify, so for reference number 690 specifically, since they were going to look into it more, this is one of the ones where the actuals line up. It's just that I would like to be able to compare 2023 actual to the 2023 budgeted and see where it landed relative to what we had actually budgeted for. And same thing for 2024. Does that make sense for the school?
It does, and you're just referencing line 690?
Yeah, just for that one, just because it is such a wonky line in terms of what Allison is pointing out, I just want to see, like, and to be very frank, what I'm looking for is if year after year we're budgeting it for $20,000 and coming in with actuals that are very low, or if we're budgeting it in at, if we made a huge increase in 2025 and we expect to actually see that. I don't want to see this line be something that's just historically underexpended every single year. That's what we're really looking for.
okay, so hold on, so
So if
Jared,
I
do you
could
have something
just,
specific about this? Okay, and then we're gonna go to Doug, because Doug has a question, he's been waiting very patiently.
So, administrative staff, when we do the budget for these, are we looking at what the individuals actually took for this year? And so if they didn't take any insurance this year, we're not putting $20,000 in for them next year?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
If I could just add to that, unless it's a vacancy,
No, I'm just saying the actual person.
because if it's a vacancy, then we would anticipate a two-person plan.
So if I'm married and my spouse has a better insurance program, I'm not gonna pay into this.
Right.
So you're not gonna have to pay into this. The next following year, when you budget it, that's still gonna come in as a goose egg for me.
Correct.
Because I'm not electing, or have not elected insurance for this year.
Yep.
Thank you.
Doug,
Yeah, kind of, thanks, Madam Chair. In line with, so I'm actually looking at 696, and the FICA goes, there's a huge jump in FICA as well, which to me says there's a huge boost in salaries, like there was, I mean, I can see if there was a commensurate jump in salaries, that would affect the insurance, but why would there be such a high jump in FICA as well, unless there was a significant staff change? Am I missing something there?
I think from my perspective, I have a little bit of concern back to the question about the rows that have name changes and where the money is on those. Because if I were to look at my budgeting, it would be the FICA line that you should be looking at on page 24, row 715. So I'm not sure why we have them broken out like that, and I think that might be leading to some of the confusion.
Does this need to be corrected then?
yeah, so now we've got two special education FICA lines, and they both have money in them, but not the same amount of money.
But it's the exact same account.
It's a different program. It's not the same account. So your
Okay.
function line, 1200s are the same, but your program lines of 000, those seem to be for the 2026 budget. They seem to be all zeroed out here on page 23. And then for the remainder of the 1200 lines, you're talking, 18, program 18 and different account numbers.
Yep, so thank you, that clarified it. I didn't notice the difference between the programs, which is what it is. So again, that goes back to Brian's comment about having very few individuals in a particular line. But they're accurate, so you can have one shift by a new hire, by somebody who left,
But why are
that
they
fluctuates.
Why are there different program lines?
Yeah, why are they split up?
Well, the program line, so like 00 is, like the 00 is none, and 18 is general elementary and secondary ed. And so then I guess like then the follow-up question would be is like, why was there a paraprofessional in a none program?
A none program?
She
That's
means
what-
an N-O-N-E, not an
None.
N-U-N.
Yeah, sorry. That's like.
Just to be clear, we have no nuns. There are no nuns in the Goffstown School District. I just want to be clear about that.
In the none. No, that doesn't work either. I don't know. But like, I guess, was that paraprofessional just not assigned to a program and now they are? Or,
Can you give us a reference line, please?
well, so in the paraprofessional
686,
salary, there's 686.
line 686.
So there is a person who's in 2025 actuals, we have paid, but then in 703, there's also a special education paraprofessional, well, there's many of them, who, you know, and they all work in general elementary and secondary education.
So I book them to program 18. I'd have to look to see if perhaps that was one that got updated and adjusted in terms of the account that it was booked to when it was actually being paid. So my
there's
thought,
there's a whole bunch of 00 program numbers here, Kate, and it looks like they're duplicate descriptions, but not duplicate amounts. And I think that's where we're getting confused.
yeah, Doug and I can take a look at that and get back to you on those. I wouldn't feel comfortable to speak
Okay.
about them without investigating, because it's actuals that we're talking about.
Let's just take a minute and see if that happened in Bartlett and we just didn't notice it.
I'm looking back now, like to my issue that I was bringing up, the special ed, it's not, it's all 18 there, but,
Yeah, so it's all regular ed, and then special ed, special ed.
They also have an assistant principal.
Right, that was another line that I was gonna ask about. Do you remember?
Just a question, because this is listed in 00, is this because our assistant principal from last year has moved into this area and it might be just some of that information?
I think it would be best for us to do a
Okay.
more thorough review.
Okay.
And we'll get back to you on Tuesday.
Okay.
But if we're looking at, just so everyone knows, if we're looking at the whole budget, these numbers are accurate as they add up to what we expected them to add up to. So there is no necessarily duplication of things, there's just classifications, and you can further classify something by the program, just like you can further classify something by the function. So as we look at 00, sometimes those are the people that would work not just within one specific area of the school. That's why you're seeing assistant principal show up in 00, because they're working kind of with the whole school. So we're not going to necessarily pigeonhole more about an assistant principal, where if it is like a paraprofessional who's in a classroom, that would go more to that 18 general elementary.
But why would an assistant principal be listed under special education and not next to where the principal's listed?
Because it's assistant principal, meaning it's a special education facilitator. So must have been moved to, because that's the building where we had the retirement, and then we have a new person
Yep.
who does special education.
Do you have another question?
Yeah,
Brian?
thanks, Madam Chair. That was one of my questions, like, if reading the budget, I see two assistant principals at Maple, one special ed and one non.
So they're both listed, so we have 3 administrators in Maple Ave. We have
Yeah.
a building principal, we have a building special ed facilitator, and we have the dean of students.
So, wait,
Three.
none
So-
of them are assistant principals?
I'm
Correct.
confused.
Okay, so why aren't we using the actual title or the terminology that mirrors what their actual position is?
I think it's because that's what the account code is. It's listed under assistant principal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for example, at Goffstown High School, you'll see the same thing. So we have multiple administrators, but the line that they would show up in might say assistant principal with multiple assistant principals, because that includes an assistant principal, a curriculum coordinator, special ed person. So they're all kind of bucketed into that same assistant principal bucket.
All right.
Okay.
Follow?
Yeah, follow, and then Laura's got a question.
So just for clarification, reference line 688, that is not an assistant principal, that's a special ed facilitator, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Well, we have an assistant principal who serves as the special ed facilitator. There are 2 administrators at Bartlett.
So reference line 846
This
is
Maple.
assistant
We're in
principal.
We're talking about Maple Ave.
Okay, I'm sorry. 846?
846 and previously reference 688.
So
688 is special
would be
ed?
the special ed facilitator, which is kind of, as we look at a building, you have the principal, kind of the
Yeah.
leadership of the building, and then underneath that, you have like an assistant principal, a special ed facilitator, you could have a dean of students type of thing. So I'm not saying it's like completely flat under that, but they're kind of on the same row together. So at Maple, there is the special ed facilitator, then there's the dean of students who does more of your traditional assistant principal duties as well.
All right.
Laura, and then Olivia, and then Brian, if you would follow up after
Yeah.
that, you can come back to that.
Thank you. So I understand how for your purposes and your lines, that makes sense and you know what that means. But for our purposes, I feel like it, and not on purpose, but I feel like it lacks the, I hate this word, lacks the transparency of who these people actually are and what they do. And I think that's why we're getting a little more unclear on what line is what and what is where and what it means, because it's not exactly saying it.
Olivia?
Kind of along that, but for Bartlett, both the principal and assistant principal are listed under 00, but then Maple is kind of all over the place, so I'm just kind of confused why it's different.
I'll answer that one. So Maple is a bigger school. It has a larger administrative base because of the more pupils that they have there. So as we have the dean of students, we have the special ed assistant principal, we can call it that because they are a leader of that
Yeah.
department. That's why you're seeing that there. So we might have, the reason why we have more at Maple is because there's more students
Well,
there.
yeah, I understand the more, I guess I was just a little bit confused why
Because
some are 18, some are 00.
This individual is the one that's leading the special ed program
Okay.
at the school. That's why they're designated there.
Okay.
Brian, would you follow up?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Going back to my question on 688, and just an ask on my end, maybe to give a better description of that title, so it's not as confusing. Maybe you add facilitator or something, so I understand that's not an additional assistant principal, because when I see 2 assistant principals at a school, I was like, okay, that seems overkill, but now it makes more sense.
So this comes from kind of a state codes. And the last
Account codes.
time the state codes or account codes were looked at was 1999, so that's what we're still running off of. Currently, they're looking at the codes again, and they're kind of halfway through coming up with a new booklet, which will have to then adopt all new codes. So when we're in this kind of waiting period right now, so there's not a lot we can do right now, or there might not be a lot we want to do right now, because I don't know if the codes are coming out next year or the year after, but it's going to be pretty soon where what we're looking at won't look the same anymore. So we can somewhat make adjustments, but there's only so many adjustments we can make at this point. But hopefully the new account codes will be able to give more clarity to what would be helpful to budget committee, taxpayers, and everybody as well.
Okay.
Allison?
Still staying on this line 688. So, two things. One, we're saying it's for special ed because they're really a facilitator, but it's coded to the program 00, which is not the special ed code, if I'm right, right?
No,
18 is.
it's, you got to look at the function. It's the function 1200.
Okay.
That's
What's the 00 versus 18?
So some programs are also like math or science, so
Yeah.
it's breaking things down even more. So the 18 is more of general elementary and second ed, and 00 is none, so if it doesn't fit into a more broken down bucket,
Okay.
it stays 00.
And then where is this people's pay from before the 2027 default then? Is there another line that we're saying that would be that equivalent?
It would have been probably part of
The one I mentioned.
the other.
846.
846?
There was a reduction or a transfer.
Say 846?
Yeah.
846.
Yeah.
I can't call. Kelly, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I'm like,
No,
looking,
it's
I'm
all right.
trying to
Jesus.
catch up myself, and oh, go ahead, Kate.
Thank you. So just to clarify, the position was moved because it changed to a special education facilitator this year. So the contract was reduced, it's no longer a calendar year position, and where last year it was an assistant principal role, this year it is a special education facilitator role. So it was moved from 2410 to 1200.
Okay, we're still on 23. Is there more, looks like we need a little clarification on this before we'll have to come back to this section. We're going to go to 24 and 25. Doug?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, so I just see the same thing in the 715. The FICA jumps seems significant from the 2025 actual. I'm assuming that's things moving around or just a big jump.
So when we do the FICA, we're basing it on the salaries that are projected, and there are variances that can affect that with pre-tax deductions. So without looking into it further by person in terms of the actuals booked, just like health insurance with changes, there are pre-tax deductions that our employees choose that impact how much FICA they're paying off of that salary.
So with that, so if generally they're paying more for health insurance as well as we're subsidizing more, that would mean less FICA they'd have to pay. Okay.
What is the $2,000 jump in, what was that? Co-curricular general supplies.
Reference line, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. That is 736.
So that's for production which students put on. It's a show chorus. And when they present at the end and they give their performance, I believe right now the parents are charged. And
Okay,
what
you did talk
what's
about this.
happening is that money then goes to be used towards the costumes and the sets. And our goal is not to necessarily charge the parents for that and therefore pick up the costs in the budget.
Okay.
I believe that also included royalties that we have to pay for the utilization of songs.
Okay. Good?
Sorry, yeah, sorry. I think what I said it backwards. I would think if they were paying more tax deferred dollars towards insurance, the FICA would be less, but it's jumping. So it's, I guess it's just not making sense to me.
So I think if I can add to that, what Kate was saying, if employees choose to put money into a tax sheltered annuity, like a 403B, kind of like a 401K,
Mhm.
if people stop putting as much money into those plans, they're paying more in FICA, which means we're paying more in
So they're
FICA.
putting less money into those?
People may be putting, employees, individual employees,
Yeah, yeah.
might stop contributing to a tax sheltered annuity.
Yeah.
That would be an example of something that would drive up both the employee and the employer FICA.
Okay. There's a certain level of unpredictability is what you're saying on that, so, okay. Thank you.
26, page 27.
Sure. A non-teacher, I would think, would represent everyone who is not a teacher.
A non-teacher would represent anyone who's not covered by the Teachers Association contract.
Okay.
But we have people in that bargaining unit who aren't traditional teachers. So that would include people like school nurses, that would include, that could include things like speech pathologists. There are some other people who aren't kind of traditional teachers.
Okay. Would it also include like paraprofessionals, maintenance staff, everybody who's not part of the collective bargaining agreement is a non-teacher?
Including administrators.
Okay.
And we also have a smaller, so in Goffstown, we have 2 union contracts. We have our support staff contract and our Teachers Association contract. We also have a third bucket, which we call student support specialists, and they're people who don't fall under the collective bargaining agreement. It's a smaller group, but it would include things like if we had a certified occupational therapy assistant. There are certain individuals that would fall into this extra bucket. So that's the only other group that would be considered like non-teachers.
And maybe to bring a bunch of this back, in a union contract, we can't really negotiate the cost of health, I mean, we can negotiate the cost of health insurance, but it is very much set within that union contract, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Additional questions, comments? 26, 27? Keep going to 28 and 29. Scott?
Just quickly to your favor, I see there's a big drop in health insurance on line 849, so offsetting some of the other lines from previous.
And again, that decrease is with the costs going up. So that just, again, shows another example of the
Yeah, yeah.
volatility of all of
Yeah.
the health insurance lines. And there's a fairly significant cost differential between being on a single plan to somebody gets married and has a baby, and all of a sudden they're on a family plan. So over the course of 1 or 2 fiscal years, we see that movement. And on the other direction, we also have folks that are on a family plan, they have older children. The older children age out of the program or hopefully move out of your parents' basement and, go get your own insurance. But when that happens, those individuals might go they might go to a single plan. So it does go both directions, and sometimes, it's to our benefit and sometimes it's not.
Okay. Sam?
I'm gonna bring us back to page 26, sorry about that, to line 795, lunch monitors. So I guess I'm noticing an increase, and that isn't a position that I would imagine has any kind of step matrix. I mean, there's an increase from the 2026 budget to the 27 default.
Yeah, I believe, as I recall, and Mrs. Pishka might remember this more clearly than me, because Maple Ave has been so overcrowded and the class sizes are so large, we increased a couple years ago the amount of supervision in the lunchroom, and I think that's what we're looking at there.
Just to clarify, Samantha, on your question, they are part of the bargaining unit for support staff, so there are negotiated rate increases for those individuals as well.
Oh, so they do have like a step matrix?
They do.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate.
Okay, 28, 29, anything on there? Page 30. So this also has line 900, Maple new equipment.
Yeah, so this is for a square scrub machine, which allows anyone over 18 to use without specialized training, so it's a much safer piece of equipment. Not that anyone would use it, but it, you know, if anyone can use it, it means that even for our custodial staff, it's safer for them as well. So Randy, I don't know if you want to talk.
Absolutely.
So it washes the floors, basically?
It's for maintaining floors.
Okay.
Okay. It's a machine, it's just what it says, it's a square scrub, it's an orbital that, like a hand sander, moves. Right now, is we have disc machines, and to look at them, you would think, well, how hard is it to run a disc machine until you go to use one? Because with the pressure on one side or the other determines how the thing swings from side to side. We have older staff that struggle with keeping a swing machine under control. So I have a limited number of folks that can run that machine, or that piece of equipment safely. And in the summertime, when we're finishing all of the floors in the school, I need as many people as I can to run that type of equipment to maintain the floors. With a square scrub machine, and the way that the bonnet works, it makes contact with the floor, literally anybody can run it in a safe manner because it's just a forward and back movement versus trying to maintain keeping that machine in front of you. Because if it gets out of control, it can take off, swing around, and you can get caught up in the cord. You can get knocked down by it. I have had people that said, hey, I got this, it's working pretty good, and then the next second it's not. So we're very cautious about who uses the machines and that they can maintain the machine, and they go through a process of showing that they can safely run that machine. But going with the square scrub machine, doesn't matter the age of the person or the skill level of the person.
Or the strength.
Or the strength of the person. Within minutes, they're able to learn how to effectively and safely run that piece of equipment.
So Randy, it's fair to say we would be looking over time
To buy more.
to replace all of the older ones
Correct.
with these newer units.
Okay. Laura?
Thank you. How many of them do you currently have? And aside from the fact that they're not the best, not the safest for everyone to use, what kind of working condition are they in?
And I will say, like any piece of equipment, right now they're all working. Right now in the district, I probably have 15 of them in the district. The bigger buildings have multiple, the smaller buildings would have one or two. Right now, they're all working until you're going and you go to turn on the switch and all of a sudden it doesn't work. So instead of replacing an orbital, we're going with the square scrub machines.
Can I follow up? And this is the cost for one?
The cost for a square scrub machine is typically about $11,000.
So,
You're going to get half of one then.
Well, I'm just saying, this is what they are typically running.
so
But that is the
then how did
question.
you come, or how did somebody come to the 5,800 then in this line for that, if that's only half of one?
I would have to go back and look at that line, to be honest with you. But they're typically, it's at least a $10,000 machine.
I would be
I'm
interested
gonna-
in that, to know, like,
Yeah, I mean,
because you can't buy half a machine.
yeah,
so-
my, I'm gonna make a motion. Should I, oh, do you not
Yeah,
want
you
to?
can, you can make a motion. I'm not holding anybody back.
I feel, okay, wait, I don't know. So I feel like we're asking for a lot of information to come back for next time.
Well,
before
but that's
we-
the way this works. So if
Yeah,
we need more
so
information, we need
I
more
want more
information.
information before I make a motion
It's
on
very
that.
easy. Like, we can do that for you.
Okay,
Absolutely.
great, thank you.
Can I just clarify, what is it that you're looking to know?
Oh, why the 5,800 was chosen when that doesn't really get us a full anything or,
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes Doug and I like to look at the off-price type brands, and Randy might be more of a,
Temu for.
yeah,
for
he might be more of a DeWalt, kind of type of guy, and Doug and I are kind of more in the, maybe the
IKEA
dollar store
version?
version might be just as good.
Costco version. Yeah, no, that'd be great, thank you.
I can do that.
Thanks, Randy.
No problem. I said we're gonna wait.
Allison?
Line 923. Can you let us know what that increase
Oh,
is?
that's
That
the next,
5750?
we're on the next school. Hold on.
Sorry, oh, I didn't even realize it got
Yeah,
to the next
can
school.
we-
Sorry.
Let's finish with Maple first.
Okay.
I do have a question, though, about the building upkeep, the line 905, and it's additional 1,500 is being requested for that. Now, last year, 2025, you guys spent more than that, you overspent that line, but the other years before that, you were within that. What's the additional
I
amount
need to know
for?
the line, what is it, what code is it?
So it's upkeep building for Maple maintenance, so that's going towards snow removal, playground mulch, and the new is the equipment repairs for 1,500.
And I say, the repair side is we have typically underfunded or not funded repairs, and we've taken out of general maintenance. So understanding what those typical repairs have been, we took our best shot at what the average may be to do that. The mulch, I forget who had said what happens with the mulch, is we have to regularly replace mulch for the fact that we do have to replace it because of rain is affected by it. And every year, we have to clean out our drain system to maintain the draining system because the mulch will wash out at the playground and fill up our drains. We have to suck that out, so we can't reclaim that. So we are, in the mulch, we're constantly raking it back into the play surfaces because it has to be a specific depth as it's around our play equipment, and it gets compacted, so we are replacing that. So it's the continually replacement of the mulch. It is maintaining of the outside of the building now because we do have a grounds person, which is a really great help to us. And we're seeing some of those costs incurred by the work that he is doing on the outside of the building to help maintain it. And that's the mulch that we use in our gardens or in our flower beds versus the mulch that we use in a playground.
Mulch sounds like the bane of your existence.
It can be.
Brian, did you have something you?
I'm sorry, I'll just let that be. Thank you.
Okay. More questions on Maple? So that goes down to line 916. So anything else before we close the door on Maple?
I have another general
Okay.
question. So, there's a collective bargaining agreement that's being discussed right now.
Correct.
Hypothetically speaking, let's say that there wasn't an agreement met. Wouldn't everyone just go to an evergreen status where their pay kind of freezes where it is?
Yes, that's exactly what would happen. So two things. If the school board and the Teachers Association did not reach a tentative agreement, or either group didn't ratify the proposed agreement, then that's exactly right. Teachers would, so then there would be no deal to put on the warrant, there would be no new contract, and teachers would be frozen. That's accurate.
But it doesn't affect this budget, because this budget doesn't include any changes from the contract.
Right.
Right, but so then I guess my question going back to lunch monitors who are,
Different unit. They're GESS, not GEA, which is currently being reviewed.
so paraprofessionals aren't being talked about right now.
Correct.
It's only just teachers, not non-teachers.
Correct.
Okay.
And I can, Mr. Talbot? All right.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Anything else on Maple? All right, let's take a 5-minute break, but a true 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and do Glen Lake. We're gonna take a break, GTV. And we'll give GTV a minute. Back. Back. GTV, we're ready to go. Maybe they shut that.
Waiting for the commercial.
Peter, are you with us?
Peter, you still there?
I am.
Okay. Okay, and we are on GTV, so we are back from our break. So now we are starting on Glen Lake. Line 917 on page 30. Allison.
Line 923, the extra 5750 under equipment rental.
So 3,000 of that has to do with the laptop leases and the fact that it's just increased the price for every laptop. So again, we are not a one-to-one district, but we do want to provide carts of laptops to be used.
Okay.
And then the other part has to do with everything copier related, whether that be the toner or the software for it, or the maintenance, or the lease of that. It's getting it to the actuals. So kind of looking at where the actuals were, where the contract is, moving it to the actuals.
Okay, thanks.
30 and 31. Okay, keep going, 32, 33. Thirty-four, 35. Okay, anything else here? 36 and 37. There's only $13,000 of new spending for this school, so it's pretty lean.
Most of that's due to the phone system.
Right. So proportionally, the increase for electricity is lower here than in other schools. Is that because of the age of the building and the more efficient equipment, or?
So what I looked to do for electricity was I matched it to the 2025 actuals, because we're paying right around 10 cents since we know our rate. So I think we're going from paying a little over 10 cents, but it's like micro over 10 cents, just a little bit under 10 cents. But again, the energy itself is only part of the bill. So I figured if we matched it to the actuals, we'd be in a good spot. So it's really just looking at that.
Okay. All right, any questions on Glen Lake before we wrap that up? Okay. Then we will flip back to the district budget. So that is page 1. pretty significant increases in tech ed, but I believe that was one of the district priorities for the year, right?
Okay, so we did just get answers on, if we go back to the auto scrubber, the square scrubber.
Okay.
So it's an auto scrubber, which is around that $11,000 or $12,000. The square scrubber is less than $6,000. So it was just kind of using the price of an auto scrubber instead of a square scrubber. So a square scrubber, a little less than $6,000, which is that, I think we were at around that $5,800.
So the money we've budgeted is sufficient to buy the piece of equipment we're discussing?
That we would want, yes.
Okay.
And then in regards to tech, yeah, it is a district initiative to kind of knowing where the age of our infrastructure, what needs to be replaced, how much over budget we have been every year, you know, because of where the budget is at, to just kind of look at multiple things for the tech and to start addressing that.
So just to clarify, that makes it sound like this is maintenance and replacement, not expansion. Is that a correct summary?
Perfect person right here.
Yes, it is maintenance and replacement. A lot of our, so technology infrastructure has a projected lifespan of 5 to 7 years. We have equipment that's approaching 16. So you can kind of keep things alive, but after a point it starts getting hard to get pieces. So we are trying to work on, one, building a realistic replacement cycle for things. And you'll see that in some of the budgets as pieces are listed for additional replacement cycles. There's also pieces that just the cost of keeping things alive gets progressively more expensive the older it gets. I have laptops in carts in different buildings that we are hoping to keep alive for 6 to 7 years. Laptop batteries don't last 6 to 7 years. So you're going to see a cost associated with having to replace all the batteries somewhere along the way. So you're going to see those types of costs in there as you kind of go through, and a lot of those hit those repair and maintenance lines.
Okay. Jared?
Yeah, just reading some of the notes, I know that you guys don't have it, so I'll kind of articulate it. You know, $40,000 of the $52,000 is for computer, printer, network repairs for all of our schools. And again, you know, this is the district line kind of says what can be peanut butter spread if we can. It goes to the district line. And then $12,000 is for security camera and alarm repairs as well.
Yes.
That $12,000.
That also includes prop alarms, perimeter doors, access control, burglar alarm. That's all tied into that $12,000 bucket.
Okay.
So I think as we answer that expansion question, it's also important to note that that's also for people as well. It's not growing any additional staff for IT going into next year. There was a request for IT integrationists that started off at kind of the early stages of the budget, but we did take that out even before it went to the school board, knowing just where the budget was at and the fact that it's a teacher contract year as well.
Okay. Sam?
Line 26. I'm having a hard time understanding this. So a regular ed, elementary, secondary elementary teacher is different, but somehow also, so that's New Boston Central School. So why is a 111, why are we paying for a New Boston Central School teacher?
So 111 would be if it was in more of the location, it's more of the account 111.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right, there's lots of
My bad.
numbers.
Teacher
and-
salary, okay.
Yeah, So that line, though, is we're looking at, I believe, the instruction coach for literacy and math. So again, they would, and that's why it's more there. So a district position, because they don't have to necessarily work at any one of the schools.
Is that one person?
If I could.
Yeah.
So that line also includes a budget for track changes. So as our teachers earn additional credits and move from bachelor's to bachelor's plus 15, there's also funding of $35,000 in there to account for people moving track in the middle of the year.
Okay. I mean, their salary has doubled in 2 years, in 3 years.
The salary
That
amount
line
in
item.
that line.
That line item, in 2023, they were making 42,000 and now they're making 97,000. I mean, that's,
So the position, the instructional coach salary is 62,902. That's what's budgeted for that. We have utilized that position in a couple of different ways over the last couple of years. Most recently, we have split it so that it has supported needs at Bartlett and math at Mountain View. So we believe that that will be the last year of that support. It's returned to a full-time position in the district line.
So the additional amount that you were talking about for people who, I don't remember the phrase you used, but.
Track changes.
Track change, okay. So that's just to get them through this budget year, and then that difference would be calculated in their regular salary line for the following budget year?
Correct.
Okay. And is that based on real people? Do we know who's?
We don't have an idea of how many people are going to change, and depending on the track change itself. So as an example, we had one change this year that was upwards of $15,000 because the individual had been stuck on step on the bachelor's track. So the current teacher contract, if you're on the bachelor's track, you cannot move past step 13. There are 18 steps in the agreement. So when they earned that 15 credits, they made up for lost years that they were stuck on step 13, even though they had more experience. So another imperfect budgeting piece for us that, you know, we don't have a list of folks who are going to put in for track changes in a coming year, but they can have pretty significant swings, especially if they're moving from that bachelor's track and picking up years that they haven't been paid for.
wouldn't we able to predict who is working towards, like, from the bachelor's to the master? I mean, someone has to be enrolled in school. We would have some kind of prediction for that.
Yeah, so again, it's an imperfect number. Everybody goes at their own pace in terms of how many classes they're taking at any given time, you know, in what period of time. We just had a number of teachers over at Mountain View do an accelerated master's program, and they finished, I think, in like a year and a half. We've run cohorts when we've increased that number because we knew that we had a whole cohort of staff, an on-site master's program, so we knew we were going to have a significantly higher number of people moving through B15, B30, up to masters in that year. So there's fluctuation. We try to, you know, base it on whether or not we're running a cohort. 35 has been a typical number that we've put in when we're not running a cohort.
Thank you.
Additional questions, moving on.
I
Laura?
have one overall thing. I'm hoping someone can clarify this note that I made months ago. I have two numbers here. One says 1.26% above default. One says 1.53% above default. Does anyone want to tell me? Does anyone know what the new budget is over default?
1.26 is this year's default over, I'm sorry, the proposed default. No, that doesn't make sense. The 2027 default
Default is-
over this year that we're currently in.
Is the 1.26?
It's a 1.26.
Okay, thank you.
The other number, I don't know how you came up with.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is either, but I knew someone would have one of them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Pages 2 and 3. Four and 5. Peter, you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Yes, Rich?
Thank you. Line 133, I think it's been mentioned in previous meetings. Can you just remind me what athletic stipends are?
So that is both coaching and co-curricular positions for the district. So it's not just the athletic stipends, but it's kind of things that happen outside of the school hours, whether that be drama or music that happens outside or different clubs. So anything that's part of the teacher or the contract that's in the teacher contract that gets a stipend, that's where that money flows into or out of.
Allison?
I'm sorry to jump back, but can you tell me what line E4 is?
I think that's those out-of-district placements.
That is out of district placements.
Okay, thank you.
Laura?
Back to line 133, the athletic stipends. How much of that is contracted? Is that all contracted?
Yes, all contracted.
Pages 6 and 7. Nobody's going to ask about line 213? I'd like to know more about that line.
What's interesting?
Line 213, the salary pool.
So that is for the IT department salary pool. So what we do for the IT department is because, a lot of times their jobs are both in school districts and outside of school districts, but we want to make sure that we're matching up their salary to what they can make other places. Because as somebody comes in, sometimes it takes the department and Steve up to 2 years to really get them fluent in their position and have them be more independent on what they need to do. So we're going to be much better off if we retain our people, because we put a lot of time into our people. So what we try to do is make sure that their salary was more consistent with not even the higher amount, but it was at such a low bar compared to other schools in the private industry that we wanted to bump it up.
We're trying to hit the 50 percentile. the middle of the state average.
Okay.
And some of our IT staff, I hate to say, could make more working at Walmart stocking shelves than working in the district.
Okay. How many people is that in that, subject to that salary pool?
9?
9?
Because Christine is, I've got one in the teacher contract, the rest of them in their pool, so there's 9 in that pool.
Okay, and they're not in any contract?
They are not in any bargaining unit,
Okay.
with the exception of the one who's in GEA.
Okay. Jared, do you have?
No, that was it, right there.
Okay. Brian?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Reference number 204. I see the actuals in 23 and 24 and 25. And I know there's no increase of 50,000, but could you elaborate or give me more color on if 50,000 is still warranted?
That's the staff development, is it?
Yeah, so that amount is in our teacher contract, so that's part of the collective bargaining agreement, and that's the amount that's available for every person in that collective bargaining agreement. So this would be an example of something that amount is specifically called out in the teacher contract, that's why it's that amount. And if this one particular line, Brian, if we don't spend the whole thing,
Yeah.
we don't adjust it. So this would be one of the rare examples. The two big examples would be the substitute line, which, as you all know, is woefully underfunded, which we have allowed to do that purposely. This would be another one, that even though you can see in '23, we only spent 24,000.
Right.
We didn't adjust that because that amount, that 50,000, is guaranteed in the contract. Whether they use it or not is up to how the year goes, but that's the total amount available for the teachers for that particular year.
Pages 8 and 9. Laura?
Thank you. Lines 231 and 232, so there's school board stipends, and it looks like that is what it is until 2026, and then right underneath is school board stipends, and that's significantly lower but continues, and I'm just not sure what that's about.
Line 232 is for the minutes
Okay,
that are taken. So we cut that out a number of years ago. So this would be the administrative assistants that come and take minutes for our board meeting minutes.
so that new line is just, so it's just that.
That's just that. So you'll see the 8,356, that's for the note-taking that occurs. The stipends that any elected officials would get from the board, that would be in that prior line that is still zeroed out.
Okay, great, thank you.
Rich?
Thank you. Line 255, treasurer stipends, it looks like we weren't doing any for a while, and now it's proposed that we do. Can you tell me a little more about that?
So this is a new line, so it's very similar to 254 versus 255. So you can kind of see that it was 1560, then it was up to 2,000. Last year, the budget committee cut that out, and so that's why it was zeroed out. And then the board took an active vote to put $2,000 back into that position. And that's the treasurer only for the school board. And that's not a school board member, that's an actual treasurer that checks all of our checks and does all of our financial obligations that we have.
Not a voted in person.
They are not a school board member.
They are an
But
elected
but
official.
They are an elected
okay,
official.
that's what
Okay.
Just like the
Clerk.
moderator.
Yeah.
The moderator is also an elected position.
Okay.
So, and I would say an elected position that we're looking for a specific skill. So although, you know, when we have boards, whether they be 9-member boards or 15-member boards, we benefit from having different people on that board, different perspectives. But what I'm looking for the treasurer, I'm looking for somebody who has a very strong math background. Because as we all sit around tonight or at other nights, we can have lots of conversations about school finances, but we don't want to have conversations when things go wrong. And so the more I can surround myself with talented people, or no matter how I can get them, that's what I would like. So it was a big push of myself to get that stipend back in there, just because, you know, different people will take the position for different carrots. I'm not saying everyone's going to jump on it just because it's 2,000, but I want to acknowledge what they do for the district and the skills that they're bringing in.
What do they do? You're saying, do they pay all the bills and stuff like that? Or what does the treasurer actually do?
So the treasurer is the only one that can actually release funds from the TD Bank type of thing. So when we're paying our accounts payable or things like that, so we set up everything, we make sure we have all the backup, but they are the only ones that can physically release the money. So sometimes that will happen multiple times per week. So, you know, we'll let them know that we have a batch that's ready to be released. So that means that they have to go in there, they're looking at it to see if it seems accurate type of thing, and then they're the ones that are finally releasing that. So none of us can do that. So for any money to move, it's the treasurer who does that. We also reconcile every month to the bank, and the treasurer, one of their duties is to do the same thing. So we're doing it, they're doing it, because again, the bank is actually what the money that is leaving and the money that's coming. So we have to reconcile to the penny, and we would want to, and we have backup for everything. So one of the things that I did at the last school board meeting is the hour before that we have committee meetings, and we have an ANF meeting, and it was a little bit more of a light agenda, so I went over the steps that it takes us to reconcile to the bank, which is, again, to the penny and proof that we have for everything. And that's important to us because we want to make sure that we're handling the taxpayers' money correctly. So we're doing that, but at the same time, the treasurer is doing that as well. So, you know, if you're matching up to your actuals to the penny every month, that means you're along your way to have a good year, at least with being able to be transparent for where the money's going. So it's sometimes it's multiple times per day that they're doing something, but it's definitely multiple times per week for a place as big as Goffstown, plus a monthly thing that they're doing as well. And then they also are responsible to answer questions of the auditors come the end of the year.
And that's an elected position, huh?
It's an elected position.
Like, we all vote for that person?
Yeah, I know. It's kind of scary.
That is what I do for a living, and it scares me that
Right.
anybody could technically get elected to that position, is where I come from. That's a little terrifying to me. I mean, great that you have a good one,
Yeah.
but what if you don't?
Well,
I'm sorry, honestly, like, that doesn't seem like it should be like.
If we did not have a good one,
Right.
I would be very loud.
Right.
And
Yeah.
because it's a decent amount of money that the taxpayers give towards education every year. And it's going to a very strong purpose and a very meaningful purpose, but it's money. So that's important to me that we are trusted with that money. So if anyone within the district or our treasurer wasn't being compliant in that way, you would hear my voice loud and clear. And I would hope that we would have some type of emergency meetings to rectify that situation.
And I would tell you from everything that you just said, that person is doing far more than $2,000 worth of work.
They sure are.
Absolutely.
They definitely are.
Olivia?
Could you explain to me what reference number 288, the SAU Services Management Services is?
So 288, so that is Goffstown's share of the SAU cost. So the SAU has its own budget with its own expenses, and then that gets proportioned out to Goffstown and New Boston, and they pay towards that. So that is the amount that is paid. So a portion of that is paid every month to the SAU.
That is the meeting that's next Wednesday.
2 Wednesdays.
Tuesday,
Yeah.
Wednesdays.
Yes.
Is that-
So whatever happens at that meeting, that number will be either kept the same or adjusted.
Laura?
How is that amount figured? Is it a percentage based on student population?
So it is based on, it's a combination of student population and equalized valuation. So 50% of each. And so New Boston's about 22%. So each of those numbers, though, we're getting from state documents. So I pull from the state website both of those numbers. We put it into the agreed-upon formula, and that's what gives us the percentage.
Line 330, Facilities District Temp Help. How, temp help is not substitutes.
So that is pretty much our summer help. So again, the great thing about the summers is that's when, you know, the whole building's open for us to clean, to paint. So the more temp help that we can bring in, you know, temp help being they don't have benefits, you know, we're not hiring them for the full year, but they're coming in and they're helping move furniture, they're cleaning, they're painting, and they're doing that at a much lower rate than if we were to hire professionals throughout the year or were to hire additional people that would equate to their amount of hours that they did in the summer. So there's a lot of movement of furniture that happens in the summer as they clean the floors. Lot of square footage, the better we keep up with painting, the more that the schools look like a great learning environment, the better the students are going to treat the schools as well. So there's a lot of things that happen in the summer, and there's some preventative maintenance we can do in the summer as well. So we bring in the temp help as, it's really an economical way to make sure that buildings of these square footages keep lasting, keep looking as good as they do.
It's a lot of students, right?
It could be students as well, yep, so.
My son did it once. He said he would never chew gum again after scraping the bottom of those desks. Laura?
Thank you. Line 326, facilities salary pool. I'm just not sure what that is.
Facilities supervisor, I believe.
Is that the 26, 21, 13?
It's 2620, so it's 10-0-0-0-2620.
Yep, so we actually, even though it's called the facilities pool, there are 2 individuals. We have 2 supervisor level positions, our facility supervisor as well as our admin assistant supervisor, and that pool is allocated for raises for those 2 individuals.
And then, oh, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Along with that, 328 facilities stipends.
I believe that's for mileage.
So, yeah, so multiple things, but the increase is due to the mileage, as far as looking at the facility supervisor who visits all the schools. Although his house at the SAU is often traveling to the schools, so 1,000 would not have matched what they were actually doing as far as mileage goes.
What else is in there besides mileage?
On-call stipend for $6,500. And then there's a small stipend for 24/7 availability, snowstorms and things like that, so.
Isn't that what on-call is?
Yeah.
It's different. On-call is usually something different, but,
And those are both in the collective bargaining agreement?
yeah.
Okay.
For the support staff. So we have a rotation of 1 individual every week who's on call. They get the phone, they're responsible for addressing any after-hour issues.
Olivia, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, but I'm also.
that line 326 facilities salary pool is for raises, you said aren't raises built into step increases in line 322? Or, I'm sorry, you said they're custodial, so doesn't it exist in 324? If they're custodial people, right?
So,
Facilities, sorry.
so we have the,
So supervisors.
so we have the custodians that are part of the GESS master agreement. Their raises are built in with STEP into the master agreement. The facilities supervisor and the admin assistant supervisor are non-union, so a pool is allocated to fund raises for them.
The people who receive these raises, what salary line are they in?
So, the facilities supervisor, well, the admin assistant supervisor is 10, you want the account line, is that what you asked me,
The
or the
reference
reference
line.
line? Oh, 2410, 113.
Correct.
289.
So row 289 is the admin assistant supervisor, and then 2621.
322.
Is the facilities supervisor.
So the additional increase in these line items is for someone else who's also in this line item?
Which line item are we talking about?
So I guess for 322, right, from the 2026 budget to the 27 default, it has increased $2,010.
That was their raise increase from FY '26 to FY '27.
But then they are also
I'm sorry.
getting a raise from line 326.
So I misspoke. Their FY '27 number is their FY '26 salary. So we take that pool and we then allocate it for a raise. And then their number changes to the default number in the subsequent budget.
I might be able to explain this a little differently. That one might help. So if you look at line 289, that's the administrative district salaries pool that we have basically for the raises that we're going to make. We're going to take that money and then we're going to divvy it out to the administrative assistants and other individuals. And then that will become the next year's default. So we don't want to put in an individual line to say, for this person, that we don't know how good they're going to do for a job this year. We don't want to build in a raise in an individual line. We're going to put it all into a pool that can then be reallocated to all members that aren't part of the union.
But then why,
They received a raise last year, and that's why it's in the
Okay.
default for this year.
okay, so this 326 exists to make a budget transfer. We're gonna move that, we are gonna move line 326, right? Assuming that like the people in there do a great job, and I'm sure that they do, I don't mean to like discount them at all. But we know that we are going to transfer that right off the bat.
It's the, yeah, so that's the total money we can give for raises for those two people.
Okay.
Can I ask a clarifying question though?
Yep.
Regarding that? So, is Sam correct that it likely will get transferred during the year, but it's just that we don't know where it could get transferred yet?
Correct. That would be a good summary, Peter, because we don't want to say that this person's going to get 3% and that other person's going to get 3%. There might be a performance-related reason why we want to give somebody more money than somebody else. But that would
So
be.
we don't want to allocate it to the specific lines now, we allocate it to the pool for now. So we may see that, a certain part of it, or maybe it is also possible that not all of that would end up getting used. Is that also true?
It's possible, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so when you see a pool, that's really the sum of money that you're seeing that the board is going to use to establish raises for individuals that aren't part of a collective bargaining agreement. You see facilities carved out because you have facilities versus that other line that I mentioned is for, the administrative services. So that would be principals and other individuals like that.
Other questions, comments, motions? Page 11, go to 12 and 13. Rich?
Line 343, there's a rather large increase to facilities maintenance. What can you tell me about
Yes,
that?
there it is.
Yeah, so this is for two of our loans leases that we pay. That one of them would be for $167,303 to yearly payment 13 of 15 for the energy management system. So as you can tell, that dates back to work which was done 13, 14 years ago. And the increase is due to the new project, which came out of EMC, where they did HVAC at different buildings as well as lights and other improvements or replacements. So that is fully funding that, which is $261,829. So what has happened, and this would be payment 2 of 17. So for the first payment, because they weren't quite sure what type of energy rebate savings they were going to get, but they knew they were going to get some, they didn't have the full payment being allocated. Because what they were able to do was they were able to grab more of those energy rebate savings from the company and apply it towards the first couple of payments. The good news is that the taxpayers didn't have to kind of pay for that because energy rebates did. The trickier news is now you see that bump up towards this year.
Laura?
Thank you. So moving forward, what can we expect in that line if we're still going to have more payments to make?
So moving forward, it would stay at that $430,132 for another couple of years. And then that energy management systems lease, which we're on payment 13 of 15, as soon as we get to 15 of 15, the next year that would drop off.
So this will become part of the default for next year. So, right now, the proposal of $220,000 is being added for that one lease. Next year's default would be $430,000.
And it sounds like we're stuck in.
Until the leases or the terms of the contract are satisfied.
So, the lease does have a non-appropriations clause, which means that if it's not funded, then we do not have to keep on making payments. But at that time, the bank still owns the equipment right now. The bank would come and take the equipment out of the buildings. So it does have a non-appropriation part to it, but I don't think that's a direction people would want to go in.
Remind me of what equipment that was, you said?
So it's a lot of the HVAC work as well as the lighting at multiple buildings.
How do you take that stuff back once it's installed?
They figure it out.
Great, they carefully.
I think I have another follow-up. So with something like this, it was decided at some point, whether it was a necessity, whatever, that this needed to happen. And was this something voters specifically voted on? Or something that's built in that now they don't have a choice about? I'm a little unclear, I guess.
I'll bring Brian up, if you don't mind, because it was before.
Okay. And I guess I don't mean don't have a choice, it's just like we're in this contract.
So for a municipal lease, it's not required to bring it to the voters. And so the Goffstown School District, we have multiple leases that we have concurrently. And historically, we're now in our third different energy improvement program. So we've done now 3 different lease purchases. The first one is long expired. The second one, as Doug said, has, 2 more payments? So that's what those are. And those are not required to go to the voters statutorily.
Sure, okay. But the school board makes that decision,
Correct.
right? So your elected officials make the decision to enter into these contracts. And the idea is that you save money in the long run, in energy money, because it's more efficient, so.
Yeah, so
I mean,
for
we do it
example.
because it saves us money.
When we look at the energy utilization, so when you do like a lighting project, you end up having a significant cost reduction in the amount of energy that you're using, and then you're able to apply that towards the payments. And meanwhile, you're improving the quality of the educational learning environment, better heating, better cooling, better lighting for the students, et cetera.
Any other questions for anything in the district budget? Okay, should we wrap it up? We can always revisit something if something comes up, but. Okay. All right, so we will meet Tuesday night. We are meeting Tuesday night in the theater. Right, Doug?
That is correct.
That's correct. So we're meeting Tuesday night in the theater, and we will do the middle school and the high school on the school side. And that's our only meeting for next week. So if there's is there any other business? Joe?
Just another way of saying that we're meeting Tuesday, but from the email, the following week, we're going to be, the Tuesday is reviewing the town, and the Thursday reviewing the school again, or any changes? Is that kind of what we're
That is
looking at?
kind of, but we're also trying to wrap it up. So we're going to start with the town on Tuesday, and I suspect that'll take all of Tuesday night. Thursday night, we're going to hopefully wrap up the school, and if we haven't already wrapped up the town, we'll wrap it up that Thursday night as well.
So I know that on the 18th, Madam Chair, the school board will probably bring the remaining other warrant articles to this board for discussion as well. So I just want to make sure that we had
Okay.
the appropriate, just like we have to bring the water precincts for the town
Right.
on that Tuesday.
Right, yes. And then we will have another meeting January 6th, where, that was actually the meeting where we were going to have everybody bring forward additional warrant articles. If we have time on the 18th, that's fine, but if not, we'll do it on the 6th. So, because the town won't have their warrant articles ready until the 6th anyway, so. All right. Yeah, and then the public hearing is January 15th with a snow date of January 20th. We're really hoping we don't hit January 20th because the deadline is midnight that night, so we might have to stay and sign documents or do whatever. I have to talk to Derek about that. Okay, so we are gonna send you guys, I'm gonna ask Danielle to forward Peter's spreadsheet so that everybody can look at the changes that he saw. And I think that's it. Is there any other business to come before the committee? All right, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
Where'd that go?
All right, we're not gonna roll call.
He's at home.
We are adjourned.